You know, something that I can really pride myself on is the fact that I try to hold space and understand people. You know, I do understand it with different people. And I think everybody gets that, but everybody doesn't understand that. Because if you understand it with different people, you understand that we think different, we've lived through different experiences, we grew up differently. Um, so you can't always take what somebody does as personal. And I really think what helped me understand this is once my father died, because he and I did not always have the best relationship. And I never quite looked at it from a standpoint of understanding him as a person. It was more so, why are you treating me like this? And so, let me see. My father died almost 2 years ago at this point. And so at that time I was 36. And I realized how much like that changed me. I'm not gonna say it broke me, because it didn't, but it definitely fixed my vision. It definitely changed the way I look at things, because when my father passed away and I saw how much it affected me, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, wait a minute. My grandmother died the year before I was born, his mother. And I was talking to my mom, and I'm like, well, what did he do to process that? Like, you know, did he talk to somebody? Did he do? And she's just like, no. Like, you know, it was something that hurt him deeply. And I know he loved his mom to death. He would talk about my grandma all the time. And my mom would be like, you know, no, that was something that hurt him deeply. And unfortunately, he went about his trauma in more of an unhealthy way, as far as healing it. And when I realized that, or even just having a realization of remembering when your parents were your age, like you can remember when your mother was 35 or 40 or whatever, and just thinking about the things that you went through at that age, it really kind of puts things into perspective. Like, oh, wait a minute. I see how this situation affected me. So back to my dad, I saw how that situation affected me, and I'm like, I never even really considered that he was so hurt behind that, and that he didn't do like the proper healing, that in turn it affected how he treated us. It affected how he treated himself, because he didn't process it correctly. And it really made me change the way that I looked at people, because I used to be so angry at my father for the way that he was and for the stuff that he did. Thank goodness I was able to forgive him and just love up on him in his last days. But just to have that understanding, like, wow, like it really clicked for me that hello, everybody is going through something. Everybody is going through everything. So I really just try to hold space with people, and I try not to take things personally. And that's the part that I realize everybody doesn't have. Everybody doesn't have the space for that understanding that we are all different, and that we are all experiencing life at the same time and in our own way. So the way I respond to something might be different than the way that you respond to something. And we just have to be more open to understanding that about each other, that we are different. So I really try to not get angry at people if they do something that is different, because I can't even say right or wrong, you know. I can't get mad at people if they decide that they want to do something that is different from me. I just really try to understand them. Like, you know, I don't necessarily do this with strangers. With strangers, of course, you just have to hold space. Somebody cut you off in traffic, I'm not automatically assuming that was a personal thing. It could be anything going on. You weren't paying attention, or you trying to rush home, because anything. But when it comes to people that I love, I definitely definitely try to hold that space to understand where they're coming from, and getting an understanding of why they may think differently from me, because I'm always open to learning. I'm always open to, this is what I was talking about, being in practice. I'm always open to being better. I'm always working at being better. And I can't say that just because you're a certain person, a certain age, or a certain demographic, a certain social status, or whatever, that I can't learn from you. So I always try to keep that space and stay open for that. And I just think, as a whole, like humanity as a whole, a lot of us are missing that. A lot of us are missing that, and they just want to force their way on people. Or even if it's not that, you don't even try to understand that we are just different. We're different. It took me a while. It took me a traumatic experience to understand that we are just different. Because like I said, for the longest time, for 35 years of my life, I guess I can say, I didn't even consider my father had his own life too. I really just took it personally, like, he's treating me this kind of way. But when I realized that, I'm like, this goes for everybody. And it doesn't matter if y'all have been through the same thing. That has nothing to do with that person going through that same thing, but adding on other stuff that they're going through too. And that says a lot about how they respond to stuff. So, I don't know. I just really want us as a whole to work on that. Just work on being more open and understanding, and just, I don't know, letting love being automatic. And not it always meaning that it's hate or just some type of, I don't know, that person's stupid, or that person's this, or that person's that. I really just want us to look through a lens of love and understanding for each other.